This is the Burley County Weed Board meeting in the Apple Creek Room at 8143rd Avenue Northeast in Bismarck. Time is 7:15.
Good morning, Greg.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Leon.
For disclosure purposes, we are recording already.
I know.
We requested 15 minutes.
I can say good morning though.
Yep.
Good morning, Cole.
This for recording. Disclosure purposes, we are recording already by request, so.
Sounds good.
Rob.
So here, I'm here. Does it matter?
Here are the minutes. If you want to see the minutes too. That.
Yep. Morning, Larry. Morning.
Good morning.
Just for disclosure purposes, we are recording 15 minutes early by request, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, Jim, are you helping combine or anything?
Not yet, I have.
Not yet.
No. No. Maybe next week here, when I get up in the Regan area a little more.
Yeah.
18 today? 18 was wow.
No, the leaves are starting to change already.
That's too early.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, there's.
That's not good.
I think we're gonna have early winter, as much as I don't wanna say
I
that.
don't want to say anything. Wasn't just not good.
Yeah.
Morning, Brad. Morning. For disclosure purposes, we are recording already.
Good. Morning. Morning. Morning, Brad. That's dirty. You drive around some mud before you get here, so you think people think you're working or what? Hey, we do that.
I've got, you should look at the grill, I've got a million dogs. Went out to Glacier this weekend.
Oh, Glacier National Park.
Yes. They've got half the room, like going up the mountain, they've got half of it all tore up. And then they keep water on it, so it just pelted the truck, all mud. And there's a lot of bugs. I ate a lot of bugs on the way there and back.
Yeah, it's a beautiful drive up there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went to, what was that, the going to Sun Road?
Yes.
That was pretty cool. And then we did like an evening hike up by, what is it, that up to Hidden Lake off of Logan Pass. That was cool. A lot of wildlife out there running around in the evening.
Yeah, we used to go out there quite a bit on the other side. My dad had a friend that lived on the other side between Troy and Libby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so we used to go that one all the time, come around, go down to Troy and Libby.
yeah, that's cool. Not bad.
I think that's a glacial lake up there. It's hot.
Mm-hmm.
It is, it's like the color of your bottle,
Yeah,
the color of the lake. It's just unbelievably pretty.
yeah. Yeah, we were gonna go and hike up there. It was like I think it's like only a 10-mile hike there and back.
Mhm.
And we ended up going on about every other trail except for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we'll put that one first on the list next time. So,
And there's so much to see over there.
oh yeah, yeah, you could spend probably 2-3 weeks
Oh, easily
before you even see most of it.
a third of it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a guy, a vet that was hiking a rocking. God, where did he start? He's doing like something like cross country, but then he's doing like he's hitting like specific peaks.
Mm.
And he was in, he's working east to west, but he started somewhere in the Appalachians.
Yeah.
Has
Morning, dude.
Just for disclosure purposes, we are recording already.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. Morning.
Morning.
How's Mr. Dave this morning? Dave's been confused.
Dave confused. Would you flashback to the 70s then, or? Or
70s, yeah.
60s?
Those are some of my best years.
So I'll go kidding.
Yeah.
When you were 70-year-old, you were saying? I'm close. No, the 70s.
The 70s. Yeah, the 70s.
I do remember, not very well. Well, sure, you were pretty young then. Yeah. It's about time I had my first motorcycle. I was riding around the ditches jumping approaches.
Good.
Now I have to create an ordinance where the kids can't do that. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Been meaning to track you down, but I haven't got this far yet.
You know where I'm,
I know.
I'm always there.
I know that too.
If I'm here or somewhere else. Thank you.
We're supposed
to be in there.
You got minutes.
2 minutes.
There'll be two questions. You didn't mean to. Yeah, that's best.
Don't walk out to the car and talk about that.
So Gase is going back today.
No. No, he's
Send up to Jim.
sick.
Thanks. Okay.
Travel day. We board meeting.
Okay.
And so we're start.
We have
So,
you have an agenda for that.
Yes.
Thanks.
I thought she was gonna be here today.
oh, Pam Binder. I think she's coming over
Oh, okay.
she's gonna be over.
Oh,
the
okay,
thing.
virtually.
Yeah, virtually, so.
Okay.
I don't know if she's gonna check in, but. We sent her a link yesterday. She said she's gonna. Chime in that way. Oh, no, she is here. Perfect.
Oh, hi, Pam. I see you walking. I was busy reading.
like
I was
everybody was reading.
concentrating on my reading.
Well, they hand us a book.
What's that? There's a test.
Well, I'm reading.
Yeah, just in case. Perfect.
Must have forgot something.
Yeah. It's gonna, make us late.
I'll have to call the meeting order when he's the one supposed to record who's here.
Anybody got a copy of the last meeting minutes?
Minutes of the last meeting.
You got one, right? Okay. Yeah, I was.
Oh, that's what you're doing, sorry.
Yeah, no, I said, I was told you weren't gonna be here, that's why you were gonna come over virtual.
Oh, no, I'm on my way.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Let's go
No,
on.
this is the one I want. I want the last meeting we had here.
July.
Well, this is July 21st. I've got the one for June there too, yeah, but that's, you want the last one, it was July.
When was the last meeting?
July 21st.
First.
July 21st.
Let's call this meeting to order and get going here. Now, could you take roll call, please?
Chairman Dave
Yes, present.
Cole Anderson,
Present.
Larry Falkenstein,
Here,
Greg Anderson.
Here. Thanks.
Let's get a roll call of everybody, please.
Oh, we've got yes, present, Commissioner Schwab, Commissioner Munson. State's Attorney Julie Lawyer. And head of HR.
HR director, yeah. Yeah, binder.
Buddy.
Jim Eisler. And Brad. Thanks. Anybody want to be a member of the public and maybe have some open discussion here? Should we move right in? Thanks. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from July 21 meetings? Okay.
I have a comment right now. Why is that door closed? It's an open meeting.
Oh. Like we always close it just for.
Noise.
For noise.
Any additions or corrections to the meeting minutes from July 21? Motion to approve. Motion to approve. Anderson, second.
Second.
By Falkenstein. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Copy the bills. Packet. Any questions on the bills?
Those are the ones that, all the prepaid bills. So these are the ones that we have right now that are on the table that were brought. We have a Furlong bill for $41,742.50,
41 cent. What's the amount here?
$41,742.50.
Perfect, thanks.
We've got a voucher for Jim Heisler for the consulting for $643.
Even?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we have a bill for Nutrien Ag Solutions for chemical purchase for $6,811.
What is that for? Yeah.
yeah,
It is for High Noon and Freelaw.
That's what I was wondering if that's what it was.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, we were running off the
Yeah.
last year's stock, so we finally did order some, so.
Okay,
And then we'll have to approve this lap later on.
sure.
That'll
When we
be-
get to the lab.
Yeah, and that'll be a live reimbursement for $1,027.16 to Beatrice Streifel.
Okay. All right. We'll, look for a motion to approve bills. Aldenstein moves, second, and
Roll call. Greg, Larry,
Yes.
Cole, yes.
yes. All right. Let's move into old business. Have we got any old business to discuss? Hearing none, what's new? We'll move into new business. Let's, if you're okay with this, we're gonna make a little bit of adjustment from the agenda, and let's deal with what we've got going on currently with compensation, open meetings violations, et cetera. Either Pam or Julie, would you like to highlight what we've got?
Well, I shared my opinion with you.
Yes,
I don't see that as part of the packet, so I'm not sure if the other board members are aware of that.
I made them aware of it this morning after the meeting started. They got a copy of the emails. So,
The opinion?
This morning after the meeting started,
yes,
like this meeting that I've been at.
Correct.
So- Oh, did they get a copy of it?
Yeah.
Just got a
Oh, got
copy.
it, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a bit.
That's-
You
That's
shared-
not a bit pages. I'm like, wait a minute.
I just want to share.
The whole
Hey,
time I didn't
hey,
get
wait a
it.
minute here.
Okay,
Everybody talking over one another, this thing doesn't pick it up. One speaker at a time, let Julie speak. And acknowledge the person that raises their hand to speak. So we have the name on record.
well, I just asked a question to make sure everybody was aware of the opinion that I had sent. So now that I'm aware that everybody's aware of the opinion that I sent, I'll kind of just go over it. So the question came up regarding I think it was the June meeting decision to compensate the weed officer after his probation expired, to raise his salary instead of one step, which is authorized by the employment policies, to raise it, I believe it was 12 steps is what it ended up being. And so I kind of just go through what the law says regarding the weed board's autonomy in hiring and compensating a weed officer. But you have to gauge that with the county commission's authority in allocating funds for that. So basically, the bottom line is the weed board, together with HR, put together a job description for a full-time weed officer. Part of that was compensation at grade 5 within the county's grade and step structure. Then board chair Corey Palm presented that to the county commission, who approved that job description. So basically, in approving that job description, the county commission allocated funds to hire a weed officer within that grade and step structure. When you look at those along with the employment policies the county commission has adopted, you can hire someone in a capacity in the county and pay them in the step and grade structure under the grade defined by the job description, which was approved by the board. And then between steps 1 and 5, which was approved as a employment policy through the county commission. So you can rest assured that your allocation of funds to hire a weed officer is at a maximum of a grade 5, step 5. Now, if you get somebody that has a lot of experience and you want to go above that step 5, the employment policies approved by the commission also has a procedure to do that too, where you can get a variance of that maximum allocation of step 5. You can get a variance up to step 9 with county commission approval. And so then the county can allocate additional funds for you to use to compensate that weed officer. Again, the county commission has approved other employment policies regarding increases in pay. That would be once somebody's off probation, they have allocated to the different agencies another 1-step increase from where that employee started. And so again, you've been allocated that money to provide to a weed officer. And you can within that grade and step structure that you requested, can compensate your weed officer within their complying with those Fairleigh County employment policies. There's actually an attorney general opinion that I consulted from, I want to say it was 2010. where when this law came into effect, this law was enacted, the one regarding compensation of a weed officer was enacted in 2009. And then one of the county state's attorneys requested an attorney general opinion regarding that. And that's basically what they came up with. You are the ones that choose the compensation, but it's only based on what you've been allocated by the county commission and based on the employment policies and the job description that this board, has approved, that's what you're allocated to pay your weed officer. And that's the opinion in a nutshell.
What do you,
Um,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
No.
if you have something else. I was gonna say, I did go on because I did, when I read the minutes, it sounded like the compensation was more than what was allowed by county policy because the weed officer is also performing duties of, I believe it was secretary treasurer. So, under the statute, the weed board is allowed to hire, additional staff to assist them with their duties. Again, as long as there has been allocation of county funds to do that. So if you want to, and I believe in the past, didn't the weed board go through like an agency to do that for secretary treasurer?
Yes.
And so, so that has traditionally been a job that's, been done by the weed board, which implies that there's been allocation for that position from the county commission. So if you want to fill that position, it appears that there's allocated funds to do that. And again, there's nothing that says, the county commission can't come in and say, you can't hire this person or that person to do it. So if you want to hire the weed officer to do that, that's up to you to do that. But again, it's got to be within the funds allocated for that. So you'd have to look at what, you know, what hours that person would work, what you're going to compensate that person at. And to look at that, I would look at what you paid in the past historically. I don't know how many hours the secretary treasurer would work. And when I looked at what's the agency that had been employed to do that before, it looked like they took meeting minutes and then like kept the records. Is that my phone? Sorry, kept the records of the weed board and then paid the bills after the bills were approved by the weed board. So I don't know how many hours per month that is, but it didn't seem like it was a lot of hours per month. Does anybody have any idea as to what that would be?
Yeah. Probably I'd reach to you.
Well, because there for a while when we were between officers, we didn't have a weed officer for about 6 months there. So I was taking care of the minutes and stuff like that of what were going on and paying the bills, writing up the agenda and stuff. And I suppose to start out with, I was putting approximately before a meeting, I would probably spend 3 hours because I was contact the other officers to see if they had something to add to the agenda that they wanted. I would send emails out and they should return it to me if they, yes, they.
I think more specifically, we're wondering about Frontier Services.
Well, Frontier Services was charging us $850 a month.
Okay,
And if they spent, in a month's time, if they spent 5 hours, I would say that would be the maximum doing what they did.
okay,
So to me, that was the reason we let them go, because $850 a month for, if you want to exaggerate, say 10 hours,
right, that's.
which there's no way they could spend 10 hours doing the job. That was why we refused to pay that amount, and we let them go in February because of that. So I'm saying roughly 5 hours a month.
Okay,
And I don't know, Leon, you've done it here, so I'm gonna say, but you might have a better, closer account of it than that, but, my guess is 5 to 6 hours max.
okay, so, Leon, if you.
Oh, it just depends on how you define secretary and treasurer, what their duties are. I guess there's no duty set forth for it. In my experience, you know, I used to be Cavalier County weed officer for many years, 15, 16 years, and I guess it was part of our job to do that. So, I mean, I guess my definition of it is weed officer who goes with secretary treasurer. That was the way they looked at it up there. So to tell you the truth, I really don't know how many hours you put in to each one of these, you know, to do that. So.
And I would imagine, and that was one of the things I put in my opinion too, because I imagine it's kind of hard to separate those.
Yeah.
Because if you are employed as the secretary treasurer, then you should be paid as the secretary treasurer doing that work. And then if you're doing the weed officer work, you should be paid as the weed officer for that. So I think that's going to be hard to separate. The other thing then too, that if we're looking at that, because the instead of getting the discretionary one-step probationary increase, you got I think I put it in here, I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was like a 12-step increase, which amounted to approximately a $19,000 difference. And so if you take those 6 hours, you said, so it's 72 hours a year. And if you're, oops. Sorry, I'm getting a stupid ad for my calculator. Let's see. And it was a little more than 14,000, but if you divide that by 72 hours a year, you're getting paid $194 an hour to do the secretary treasurer work, which isn't appropriate. And I don't think the county commission would have allocated those types of funds for that position. So even if you're justifying that increase in salary from the 1-step to the 12-step, I don't think the secretary treasurer component of that justifies that much of an increase. So that's another thing for you to look at as well.
I have just one clarification. Leon did not get that raise. We gave him the step because that's.
No,
Reason.
Right.
So
Mhm.
he's not
But I mean-
getting that money now.
Okay, but I mean, that was what was approved, and so that's what I'm kind of differentiating there.
I guess as a board, we approved the pay increase based on some of his performance as just the weed officer. You know, out in the field, good job he's been doing, but our commissioner, I don't know if he would have known that we overstepped our bounds or something about too much of a increase or not, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of what that performance evaluation is at the end of the probationary period, is to make sure they're doing at least an acceptable job. So if they're doing an extraordinary job, that's even better. Like from my perspective too, I have attorneys that do a good job, and I have attorneys that do a great job, and they get the same increase. Because that's what the policies are.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, we don't have a merit-based system. We have a pay grade pay step system. So everybody who's in grade 5, that's a step 4, when the commission says and approves a step, everybody goes to a 5, unless they have disciplinary action. Then they don't get their step. So it's not merit-based as much as it is pay step based.
Okay, thanks for that. Appreciate that. You know, and I apologize, I wasn't at the June meeting, but I, in looking back at this and maybe we should have had more information, but that's neither here nor there now. I think we need to look at steps going forward. What should we do? What, I mean, obviously we want to do things legitimately to the letter of the law and, but yet, figure out a compensation system that'll work for our weed control officer, because quite honestly, we've got now a weed control officer, unlike any we've had, for several decades, quite honestly. And I think we need to make sure that, you know, we're on the right path, I think, as far as what we need to do in Burley County as far as controlling weeds. You know, so I would look to the two of you, if you could help us with that. What's our best path forward, doing things legitimately?
In what vein? I don't understand what you're asking.
Yes. One of the things that Leon does that's outside of the purview of or outside what previous weed control officers have done, he spends a lot of time with lap and tag programs, more so than any other previous weed control officer that we've had, making sure that we get maximum compensation back from the state, those types of things. Working on grants, spending a lot of time, way more time out in the field, educating landowners, working with landowners, doing notices of control. Can we, is there a way that we can compensate them? Not quite like we did, you know, in the June meeting, but some type of a step there.
So are all of those things that he's doing part of his job description?
Yes,
Okay, so,
but not the grant writing. Is the grant writing? Okay,
It's on the new one that Corey
sure.
had approved.
Okay, all right.
if he's doing things that are outside of what's on the current job description, then maybe you need to revamp the job description and then
Sure.
have that reapproved. If what he's doing is within the job description and he's actually doing the job where other people didn't do the job,
Yeah,
then there
that's-
really isn't anything you can do at this point. So I would encourage you to look at that job description and then see if there's things that he's doing that are outside of that job description. Because if he is, then those should be incorporated in. Now, of course, we always have the catch-all that says other duties as assigned, but if it's something that's not like if it's something that's gonna be a continual job duty that's beyond what is kind of the general description, then you might wanna look at redoing that and then reclassifying that and then having that approved by the county commission.
And Julia, and maybe this is for Pam. I know that we've talked about other pay grades for other agencies and agency heads as an example. And how do we determine that it's a grade 5 or whatever the case may be?
We have had a company called Gallagher
Okay,
where we send them the job analysis and the job description.
sure.
And they give us the pay grade and pay step system because we use the decision band method. Recently, as in 4 months ago, we have decided to bring that in-house.
Okay,
So I've been reviewing the job descriptions and last year when we were reviewing the job description, there was an alternate job description that had more management on it, but it did require a degree. And that were the choices. And when it went to the county commission, both were brought up. And Corey brought up this job description. And that's the one the commission approved.
Okay.
So there is another one out there, but it's got some variations. So it can always be reviewed.
And by way of example of that, I was losing attorneys left and right to other agencies that were paying more. And so with HR, we looked at what other agencies, even other states' attorneys' offices were paying their attorneys based on experience and things like that. In fact, the example that I used is we lost 2 attorneys to Cass County. If they would have stayed in Burley County, they would have made 20,000 less per year than they were making in Cass County. And that's when you included benefits in that. And so we did a salary, I put things together, comparing all of that, comparing the job that we're doing, comparing the job that these other people are getting compensated for the same job, just in a different county. And we were able to look at that and have the county commission change the pay grade for the attorneys to make it lucrative for them to stay in Burley County. Not that that helped, because as it is, I'm still down 6 attorneys of the 18 that I need, but we did that and we were able to get the compensation changed that way. So again, if it's the same job in a different county getting paid more, take a look at those and compare those and then take that to the county commission to get that grade changed.
Okay.
That's what we did.
Great tip, thank you.
And we did that.
Okay,
I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where we did the research on all the weed officers within the state. Weed officers aren't as clean as attorneys because some weed officers do highway work, some weed officers do different types of work.
Sure.
So we were doing kind of parting out basically what percentages. So we can, I can have the department look at that. We can reanalyze if that's what the weed board wants.
Can we look, outside of the state? Can we look into other states as well and compare that?
We were looking at South Dakota, Minnesota, and Montana.
Just, if you look at those states, they don't have the same structure that we
No,
do.
they don't.
They're not even close to the same structure because they have coordinators. So they have a coordinator for an area and then they have people underneath them. So one area could have 6, 7 counties and then they have people underneath them. So they have an actual,
Yeah, we don't weight that as much. It's
yeah,
all in weighting.
it's so tough, yeah, to apples to different,
Yeah.
different states. You're not gonna get it. So,
well, I think that's our best path forward is if you could help us with that, we'd certainly appreciate it. I think what we could do, my opinion is that we have 2 people on a committee to look into this. Is that appropriate, do you think?
That's fine.
And if we can hopefully get some work done on that between now and our September meeting.
And you can have your committee work with myself in my
Yeah,
office.
that'd be great. Thanks for that. I appreciate it very much. Okay.
Just make sure that if it's a subcommittee of this board, that it's an open meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Okay, I think we've got some good steps forward on that. I appreciate it. Could we also, Julie, talk about the, open meeting violation? You're aware of that?
I'm aware that there was concerns that there may have been. I
Yes.
don't know, I don't remember all the details
Okay.
though, so
All right.
refresh my record.
Actually, we can deal with that later, but I wanted to make sure that it was brought up in today's meeting so that we can deal with it. What happened, I think, it appears to me as though we followed the state, I know.
Glasses, I know there's a magnifier on my phone.
We followed state statute and made sure that we didn't have any issues there. It was open meeting. But I think in retrospect, and I apologize, we weren't aware of this, that there was supposed to be other additional notification per Burley County.
What meeting are we talking about? Meetings.
The first one. The first one we ever had.
Yeah, and when I was looking, because I was trying to find the meeting minutes from the weed board meeting where I know there was some discussion regarding that job description. And when I went on the website, I went to the 2022 meeting minutes and they were the 2023 ones or something like that. Because I did say in my opinion that you were missing minutes on the website because there was like, they were posted twice. 1 year was posted under 2022 and I couldn't find 2022. So I know there's that, but there's no requirement that you post those on the website. It's just a convenience.
Right.
So the open meetings, I'm just gonna do a quick overview of open
Perfect,
meetings for
thank you.
you, if that's okay. So your meetings have to be properly noticed with the proper timeline for that, which is usually days before, just to give, I mean, there's no deadline as to when they should be done. I think it's at least 24 hours, if I remember correctly, but it doesn't say they have to be posted a week ahead of time or anything like that. The Attorney General does have an open meetings guide that I would suggest that you read. It's on their website. And so make sure that you stick to your agenda items. There usually is something on there, like I see that you have where it's other business, so that anything can be brought up under that. But if it's some major topic, you should actually table that for your next one so that people, if they want to participate in that, can come in before you make a decision on that. Where people get in trouble or where boards get in trouble for violating open meetings is usually having conversations with each other outside of a meeting. So let's say that the agenda comes out and I take a look at it and it's like lab applications review and approval. Well, I don't know what that's about. So I'm gonna call Dave because Dave and I are pretty close. So I'm like, Dave, what's that about? Oh, okay, well, here's what we should do about that. And then afterwards, Dave's like, oh my gosh, can you believe Julie's gonna decide this way? Here's what we need to do, and talks to another member of the board. Now you've had a meeting because now you've had 3 people discussing that issue and what you're gonna do at the meeting, and that's a quorum. And so even though I talked individually with Dave and Dave talked individually with somebody else, I'm just gonna say because he's sitting right here. We've had a meeting, even though it's been individual, because we've discussed weed board business outside of an open meeting. And so that itself was a meeting and should have been open. If that occurs, because sometimes that'll happen where you don't know somebody else has talked to someone else. If that does happen, you need to cure that by talking and having that discussion again at your open meeting. So at the open meeting, you can say, well, hey, Dave can say, Julie called me about this. This is what we talked about. And then I talked to Cole and this is what we talked about. And then that way it's still an open meeting violation, but you cured it. So if somebody complains about it, we can tell the Attorney General, this is the steps we took to fix it. So don't do those violations because we don't need to fix it. And we can still get in trouble even though you fixed it because you still have that violation. So even one-on-one discussion of weed board business outside of a meeting, if somebody else has a discussion about that same matter, even if you're not aware of it, that's still a quorum of board members talking about it, and that's a meeting. So just keep your discussions about nothing regarding the weed board business when you're talking to each other outside of a meeting. That's the best way to not do an open meetings violation.
Mr. Chairman. Julie,
Yes.
I have a question here. This violation was because he did not report it on the Burley County website, our minutes of the meeting. That's what we were getting dinged on, as far as I understand, because he failed to do that. We weren't aware that it had to go on the Burley County website also.
Open record.
It was posted on our website.
This is a little bigger.
And-
That'd be great.
And that's where we were or we were being informed that we violated open rules there because we didn't post it on the Bailey County website.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it says some public entities are required by law to provide minutes in the official newspaper, and so, I don't know exactly what your requirements are. I didn't look that up before I came here. But that's how we usually get those out to the public, because your minutes, even draft minutes, are available to the public upon request. And if we have historically posted those, then that's where people will historically go. And so we should keep following those guidelines. Now, of course, we only post them after they've been approved, which is fine, but if somebody requests your draft minutes before they're approved, they get those copies as well. So,
I gave you a thing for that, works with Central Code for us, and our only requirement is to ensure that we post with the paper, the county paper on record, our agenda. That's what it requires for us for as far as the board, so. I was unaware that we were supposed to post on the Burley County website, and it's,
well, just because it's
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I can clarify, and I don't know if it's so much in open meetings as it is open records. Because we have people that want to get the minutes of every county meeting we have. So that's the list that Mary Singer is keeping. And that's more open records than it is open meetings. It's an ongoing open records request.
Okay.
So was it a violation of open meetings? On the minutes part, maybe not posting them because that's where we traditionally post them. But it may have been more open records because that subscriber list didn't receive the weed board meeting minutes when they have an ongoing open records request to receive all of our meeting minutes.
I guess that was just, like, coming from a different county, a small county. If somebody wanted something, they just came in and they asked for it. So I was unaware of that, so, yeah.
I also printed the open records guide from the Attorney General as well, and I'll pass that out. It's the one page again, and it just gives you a quick what's open, what's not. It's for future.
Thanks.
And then-
Pam.
I was just saying, one more thing too, like reading the law is confusing because you have to go here, then you have to go here, then you have to go there. So there is specific statutes regarding the weed board, but then there's also under open meetings, there's also specific rules that any government agency or government entity has to follow. And that talks about how soon your agenda has to be posted, where it has to be posted and things like that. And so there's other statutes that apply outside of the weed board.
Great information.
When I was lobbying, there was always that, I always told me it's the Central Code's up for perception. So it's about as cut and dry, but I guess.
It's open to interpretation.
That's why we have court.
Exactly, right?
It appears to me, that we kind of had the perfect storm. We had new chair, new weed control officer. We got rid of Frontier Services. All of these things happened at the same time, so we apologize for that. We want to make sure we do things properly going forward, so.
Well, I've said I want to put something together for new board members, so they have like a quick cheat sheet, and so in my spare time, I'll do that, and I've been saying that for 4 years. I don't have the spare time, unfortunately, so, but yes, the Attorney General has those great, cheat sheets, if you will, and so I would suggest when you get somebody to do that, you just share that information with them, because open meetings is a really easy one to violate when you don't know what you can and can't talk about, where and how, so.
I just wanted to add, another open meeting violation might be if the meeting is adjourned and you still have a quorum of members sitting there and you start talking and then all of a sudden you veer back into like weed board issues. And that's easy to happen. Or in my case, school board issues when I was on the school board. So you have to ensure that when meeting's done, it's done.
Okay, perfect.
And emails too, don't hit reply all.
Okay.
In fact, don't reply. If they're sending you information, just take it as information and then discuss it at the meeting. Don't discuss it over email or text messaging, phone calls, those types of
All good
things.
tips.
Mhm.
If I can, one of the things that really gets you in text, that's an open record. And if they request it, whatever you've done on your phone is now open.
Yep.
So personal, business, board, once you get into that, everything is open. So don't text.
And as I say, not necessarily open to disclosure for the public, but open for review by other people to see whether or not it needs to be disclosed.
Sure.
So somebody else is gonna see it, and if you don't want people to see what you're doing, then just don't flex.
Yeah.
Weed board business.
Anything else from either of you?
Don't have anything.
Okay,
I don't have anything regarding this. I have another policy thing that, as I was looking through, and I think I sent you that email. This was done at a meeting last year, so this was Commissioner Jones, not Commissioner Schwab. But there was rules that were laid down last year. And I think, Jim, I think you were at that meeting. I was at the meeting. Julie was at the meeting with Commissioner Jones, and I think the lawyer that the weed board had was at the meeting. So it's basically rules on how the portfolio holder and the weed board interact as far as budgeting stuff goes. So I found that, so I made copies. So if the weed board wants to take copies of that, take a copy. Because when it comes to budgeting, and I know we're not at the budget part of it yet, but our commissioners have a fiscal responsibility for the budget. And they, per century code, can ask to review a budget or have any department head or any employee review and verify their expenses. And this year it's been particularly hard because of what's going on with the county and the budget. I have had several commissioners, not just my portfolio holder, asking me line item questions on the 2023 budget and the 2024 budget. They are allowed to do that per century code.
sure.
So I just wanted to clear that up. So if Commissioner Schwab wants a line item, doesn't want you to move something without him knowing about it, that is within his century code duties as a commissioner. Or Commissioner Munson
As
is asking you something, yes.
Yeah.
So what those do is just kind of clarify, and I think it got to the extreme with those a little bit. But we have to find a happy medium of the communication between the weed board, the weed control officer, and the commissioner,
Okay,
the portfolio holder.
I have a question. Did anybody, specifically you, make a statement that I approved your budget,
No, I said
that I signed off on the budget?
just if the
Did
budget,
you make a statement that I signed off on? the
I
budget?
said you signed off on the preliminary budget that was.
No, I
brought to the
didn't.
board. Oh,
I did not sign off on or see your budget before you presented it. I want that to be very clear.
And usually how the budget, because you got the budget memo from the finance director. or
Yep,
the
yep,
finance director.
yep.
So the salaries and the benefits, the fringe benefits, we don't touch those because they come from the finance director because of the pay grade, pay step system. But all the other line items, before we go to budget committee, we meet with the portfolio holder so they know what's going on. And they don't have to sign off on it, but they do have to say they've seen it and they approve it.
thanks.
Yeah, and just to throw in, that goes for everybody. So I'm independently elected, but I still have to give my budget to my portfolio holder and go over it with him and not get his approval, but I work with him as to what we're gonna be doing with it because he's the one that controls what gets allocated to my office. And so even though the weed board is an independent board, they still have a portfolio holder that they need to not report to, but work with, especially when it comes to budget, because you only get the money that the county commission allocates to you, just like I do.
Yeah, because you're a county weed board,
Sure.
Mhm.
but you're enforcing state, not just weed laws.
There are some interesting nuances in Century Code and how weed board and counties work together.
Mhm.
Certainly found that out. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it a
Yeah,
lot.
no problem.
You know, like I said, we want to make sure we're doing things properly and headed in the right direction. So any additional steering we could get would be appreciated.
Well, let's bring up another point then. Let's talk about this,
deal that I cannot talk to this man over here without a weed board member. How did you guys come to that conclusion?
What are you talking about?
You can't have a meeting with me.
That's without a weed board member.
Yeah,
Why isn't that in the minutes of last meeting?
that wasn't brought up at the last. meeting.
Because you shut the camera off. And then you held a continuing meeting. You're talking about these damn meetings here and the meeting laws. You shut the camera off. Said I cannot meet with any one of these guys, with you. Unless one of these guys is present
I will completely.
and heckled me on the way out of the room. Hey, wait a minute here.
We did not. Everybody adjourned and you walked out with us and you.
No,
you
sir.
asked a question. You
No,
asked
sir.
a question if we were gonna have something, I can't remember what it was about, of the budget. And I said, we'll get it, we'll look into it. No one,
No, I want the documentation that you said you had that says you can, according to the Century Code, make the ruling that I cannot meet with you without a board member. Exactly what you said. Isn't that right?
I don't remember that, I'll be
You don't
honest, I
remember, huh?
don't remember that being said. I remember speaking to you personally when you you went back to see him. And you jumped on him about what,
I didn't jump on him.
okay, you stated where we violated, you were pretty perturbed about the fact that we violated by not getting the minutes in, reporting that.
Let me ask you this, were you here after he shut that deal off?
Sure I was.
And then when he decided, he came over to his chair, and what did he do? You don't remember? Nobody remembers?
I wasn't
Didn't
here.
you say, well,
As soon as the meeting.
Commissioner Schwab, you cannot meet with me? You know better. That's a breach of the meeting laws. You continued the meeting after you adjourned it.
I didn't. As soon as the meeting was adjourned, I left.
Now, we'll go back to the film and we'll find out.
Yeah.
The film on that meeting. But that's when this thing was discussed, and you brought that up. I want the documentation on that decision you made.
I didn't.
That I cannot talk to you without.
No, you can't have a meeting. I said, you can't have a meeting.
No, it was, I cannot speak to you. 3 times it was repeated, and that's the last thing I heard out that door.
Okay,
And that was a meeting. That was a meeting,
Commissioner,
because nobody left this meeting except Denise. You were all here.
I was not.
You weren't here, no.
I had left too.
You were here.
I left early though. I got up right away. and left.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that.
We got it on film, so
Yeah.
we'll go back.
I heard to see on film.
That, the audacity of going around a commissioner and having an open meeting like that and then continuing the meeting. And you guys want advice on how to do it when you know you shouldn't be doing this stuff. Now, that's my position on this thing. Now, you're saying this never happened, huh?
All I said was that we couldn't, and then it wasn't after everything was done, because the only thing that you brought up after it was done, when you were walking to the door, you said, are we clear about the hiring of somebody? What do we think? That's kind of what you said.
That's all you remember?
I
You
can
don't
see-
remember standing there and saying that
If I did say it, I brought it up at the meeting.
this is how this operation runs?
No one heckled you on the way out. These gentlemen were sitting there. You can ask them.
One of these guys down here said, and it was a warning, and I took it as a threat. You don't speak to Leon without one of us present. That was said 3 times after you guys adjourned this meeting.
I never,
Oh, you don't know a thing about it?
no, I don't, actually.
I never
Commissioner,
heard
I
it
was-
either.
I was not, here for that. Absolutely not.
Remember that?
Oh, I stuck around, give you a ride. And you guys
Yeah, I got a ride.
Bought some chemical.
And I got some chemicals from Leon, and that was all that happened that I know.
Okay, let's move on. You guys want to play that game? We'll figure that
Well,
out.
if it was a threat, why, I mean, it should have been brought to HR's attention then.
I want the basis of that decision you made, that I cannot speak to you without a member present.
Roger that. I will figure something out.
I'm sure you will. You quoted the Century Code, now you get the documentation. And being that he speak to me, and you go look at the meeting and said that, it was not said in the meeting. When the meeting was going on, it was said after the meeting, and it was adjourned. Because it's not in the minutes and not in the photo. That is a violation of the open meetings law, and then you're sitting here and you're saying, oh, we're gonna resolve this thing? Give me a break. So I expect that documentation today. And Julie, am I allowed to talk to this guy?
Professionally, yes.
Without one of these guys present?
Professionally, yes.
Alright. Now we got that cleared up. I want your documentation though on that.
After that,
I just want to add to that because there's a discrepancy in what you remember, Commissioner Schwab, and what Mr. Peterson remembers, that he may ask somebody else to be present just to have that independent witness too, but that doesn't mean that it's required to be there to meet with you.
Yeah, Julie,
And you may want one. too.
I understand that, but this is a
Yep.
strict edict.
No, I'm just saying that you guys might want to have somebody else there,
No,
but it's not required.
I am not gonna run around and beg this guy for information. I am not gonna beg these guys to clean up this place. That is. All I've heard here so far is excuse, well, he didn't know. You knew everything you told me. Second meeting. I can handle this, I can handle that, and I kept telling you, you can't. Then we had open meeting violations. But everybody agrees you can handle it all, and I told you it was too much for you. But you will not take advice, you will not bring your budget up. I'm very disappointed. And you set every damn roadblock up you can to keep me from trying to get this thing straightened out, and I have a problem with that. I'm done speaking on this. We'll go back and review it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'd like to vary from the agenda one more time and just ask your professional opinion, since we seem to have an issue. Potentially going forward, working with our portfolio holder, how do we deal with this?
Portfolios are assigned at the first meeting, in December, and they're assigned for the year. You need to work with your portfolio holder to have that as a liaison with the full commission. If there is a breakdown in the relationship and you both feel that it should be reassigned, you can bring that up to the commission meeting if you'd like. I have to look and see, since they do have the assignment of portfolios at the December meeting, and that's in statute. I have to see if there's anything that allows that to be modified throughout the year if there isn't a change in commissioner, if that makes sense. Like if you lose your commissioner, obviously, they have to appoint another one or have a special election, then there may be some adjustments for that. But I'll have to see what the law allows.
Obviously, and the best solution going forward is that we can work together. But
Yes.
That's the best solution going forward. But it's also obvious that you're gonna have to start taking advice and you're gonna be administrated. You answered me on budgets and stuff, and then you go out and you say,
So.
he signed off on it. And you never brought the damn budget to me. What the hell kind of an operation is this?
So just to clarify, the weed officer reports to the weed board for the
Yes.
budget, just like you said, the budget is through the commission because the commission allocates the budget to the weed board for spending. So yes, copies of the budget and talks about the budget should be done with the portfolio holder. So the portfolio holder knows what's going on because that is your liaison with the full county commission. So any budget questions and budget issues should be going to your portfolio holder and, the county commission if you need to bring it before the full board. But you definitely should be communicating that with your, county commissioner.
Yeah, that is probably my fault, I brought it to Justin. It's just,
I know that deadline came up fast, so I did too, but then I also gave a copy to my portfolio holder as well. Mhm.
All right, thank you. Let's move into new business budget financial report.
but he's got this, the financial report. I'll go over, revenue report. Year to date, we have, revenue back into weed control is $39,003.71. So that is, we're one of the only entities of the county that brings money back in from either the state or, the LAP program where, landowners pay half of the bill you pay half the bill and landowners pay half the bill. We also sell chemical, so that's a half and half thing. This year we got, I don't believe this is on there yet. We've got a grant from the Department of Agriculture for,
Is that state or federal?
the state.
Okay,
The state. The Land Assist Program, we bought in $17,468.51 off that one. And then off of the, target assist grant, we got $5,000 back.
Okay.
And we also did, there is a spending thing here where we did $8,000 for, our new GPS thing, but that money is coming back to us. We haven't received that yet from the state, so we're waiting on that money yet. So that, once you see in the budget, it'll be a wash in the budget, so.
I'll interject for just a second. Do you need me for anything else?
absolutely not.
Okay, great. I was gonna say, I have another appointment, so I just wanted to make sure you didn't need me for anything else.
Thanks, Julie.
Yep, sorry about the interruption. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we go to the actual expenditure budget, which is the bigger one, salaries as of right now are $33,921.63. Fringe benefits are at $5,977.73. Building rental has been paid, so that's $4,800. Travel and lodging is $815.10. Nothing on printing and publishing. Dues and applications are at $275. Repairs and maintenance are at $936.58. Contracted services are at $7,321. And we already budgeted for $5,000, but I know that all our contracted service through, whatchamacallit was at $10,000 a year, so I'm not sure why that was only budgeted that year for that, but, office supplies are at $94.68. Postage is at $141.03. Gas and oil are at $1,284.65.
Can I ask you a question about that? So, I know that we budgeted that $4,000, we're only at $1,284.
Oh, yeah, for gas and oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're only at $12.84. Well, yeah, that's, I think because like the gas we get here is pretty much cost.
Okay. I was wondering if that was it.
Yeah, so we can look at it after this year, and, figure out the budget for the following year, but I think we kept pretty much.
And then the next one, miscellaneous.
Yeah, miscellaneous is kind of it's a catch-all, and we changed that. Because our phone, our tablet and all that kind of stuff, and then that discrepancy, that 10,000, that's where that 8,800, because we had to pay for our stuff first.
Okay, for the GPS.
For the GPS stuff, and then the state
I was wondering if that was it.
reimburses us, so that's
Okay.
why the discrepancy is there of that much, so we'll get 8,800 back on that, so, because right now there's a $9,139.29 discrepancy, so we'll get that money back. But we had to put it somewhere, so when I talked to, the auditors, they said just put it there and then explain why it is the way it is, and then it'll come back to the
Okay,
it'll come back on the revenue court. Continuing education, we're at $700 for the year. Chemicals, we're at, excuse me, 33,436. And spraying, we're at 89,355,000. For a total budget for a grand total of 189,697.69 for the year.
Okay, thanks. Questions on the budget? Not a, entertain a motion to approve. Second, Anderson. All in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, yeah, roll call, it's the right money.
Greg,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Cole, yes, Dave.
Yes.
Carries.
All right. Let's move into notice to control.
Yeah, just before we move off of, that subject, we do have our aging by account. These are the people that
Oh,
we still have out there, that haven't paid yet. There's quite a few, but it's coming through these. There's a few of these townships that don't pay until
yes.
the following year. And, these other people are just, if anybody wants to see it, there's just people that probably just got their bills, and then she just had to send the aging report, because I know a few of these we just sprayed. By looking at this list yesterday, I know we just sprayed these things, so they probably just got their bills and they haven't paid yet, so I'm guessing this aging report
We
will,
deal with this every year.
it'll come down quite a bit,
What's the total amount that they were out?
around 5,000.
Okay.
That's small compared to some years.
Yeah, so,
There's some there that probably haven't got their bill yet at all yet, Leon.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
So
so
you just took those books.
we just took books in and she put them together, so she probably just
Through
sent
the
them out.
mail and they haven't gotten them yet.
Yeah, Colette probably just sent them out, so. But yeah, I mean, you got Game and Fish and you got townships and stuff like that. You do have quite a few individuals there, but I mean, we haven't had any problem. It seems like there was no problem in the past as far as when I got the aging report last year, everybody got it in, so.
All right. Notice control. This has been interesting.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of phone calls.
Have you?
Yep.
Our notice to controls are, basically, I go out into, right now, from the last meeting to this meeting, I have 78 notice controls out. So basically what happens when I do a notice control, I have to go by the North Dakota Century Code and how they want me to write it. There's actually, the Department of Ag actually set up a template for us of how to do it. So, we put their name, what we found on her, the township, and then their parcel number, and then it basically, this states, if you fail to do this, we can fine you up to $80 a day, plus chemical costs, plus sprayer costs, up to $4,000 a year. Obviously, that's, unless it gets to an extreme point, we're never gonna do that. Just, I want them to talk to me. So within all the legal jargon, I put in there, landowner must contact the Burley County Weed Officer with a compliance plan. And that's all I want. It's to get their attention, but I want them to talk to me, and then we come up with a plan, we can figure something out. And I've only written 16 notice to enforcements. So if they don't comply with the notice of control or contact me, then I give them a certain date to comply. And if they don't comply within that certain date, then I can write a notice to enforcement. So I've only written 16 notice enforcements off of 300 notice to controls. So once they get these, they usually call me and talk to me, and then we can set up a plan. Once they, the people that are kind of just, they're not doing what they need to do. So we've got, for this one, we got 78, and I've got quite a few of these people who've already contacted me and put a plan in place. They're just unaware of if that weed was a problem weed, or this was a problem, or they thought their land renter was doing it or something like that. So I kind of talk them through that so that they know. And another problem that we've been having, and we get phone calls from people that Brad has sprayed for, and they're like, well, they came out and sprayed, but they didn't spray anything. Well, North Dakota Century Code dictates that we are only there after the 13 North Dakota prescribed noxious weeds. So I made up a little thing here. It basically states the Burley County Weed Board land lease program is only to be used for the 13 North Dakota prescribed noxious weeds. Absent wormwood, Canada thistle, Dalmatian toadflax, diffuse knapweed, houndstone, leafy spurge, musk thistle, Palmer amaranth, purple loosestrife, Russian knapweed, salt cedar, spotted knapweed, and yellow toadflax. And then I've included some pictures of the most common ones here in Burley County. And then put on the century code, the thing on the century code 4.1-47-02. Each person shall do all things necessary and proper to control the spread of noxious weeds. No person shall distribute, sell, or offer for sale any of the state noxious weeds. So I wrote that up and then made a little thing with just some pictures so they kind of get a reference guide of, you know, what they think, you know, these are the ones that they're in Burley County. I haven't seen much of anything else, but so I send that along with the notice controls, or I send that along with the lap now, so that it kind of alleviates some of the
Right,
things.
so I just want to add, you said we were not spraying anything, we're not spraying everything, so what's happened is somebody has 20 acres. They think we're gonna blanket spray the 20 acres, we're not doing that, we go around and, you know, there's thistle here and then spurge here, you know, they're spraying the noxious weeds, so they're thinking they're gonna get their whole pasture, you know, recreate, you know, for their horses or whatever, cleaned up. That's not, and then they think they're gonna get a cost share on that, so. And instead, they go, you know, my sprayers are gonna go in and it might take them an hour to spray the noxious weeds in there, and then we leave, so. And nobody was upset about it, I mean, some of them, we've actually gone back in now, separate from the county, and sprayed the rest of it for kochia or whatever, separate. On a few people that wanted it done. That's been an ongoing thing for, you know. People think they're gonna get their sweet clover spray, you know, the whole thing, so.
Okay, anything else on that? Leon, any questions?
And with this, though, and just with the notice control stuff, like I've been fortunate enough to get on the radio with Darrell East now, so we're doing a bi-weekly report on the radio too with Darrell East, where people have called in and talked about, hey, I've got a notice control, what do I do? How do I do it? What do I get, you know, or my neighbor got one or something like that, or hey, I've got a problem with this, you know, maybe I haven't even talked to these people before, but I mean, it's a great venue for us to get the word out about the board, you know, so we get an hour segment, and I think I went over an hour and a half the last segment just because there were so many phone calls, so. I mean, granted, the notice controls do make people mad, and people are, you know, are gonna be upset and whatnot, but I think once the communication is established and everything else, I think people kind of come around a little bit. There's probably still people mad at me, but I mean, it's part of my job and I have to do it, so.
I'd like to make a point about that. You know, the calls that I've gotten are people that think they're being picked on. And when you explain to them that, hey, you're no different than your neighbor across the street or the guy with a quarter section next to you, everybody in the county is, if they have an issue, they're getting this. And so I appreciate the fact that you've sent out quite a number of them.
I think, and part of it, we've gotten phone calls from people that Leon's, and the problem is some of the stuff that he's given out is not accessible. Like for I wouldn't run a truck in there. You know, I mean, there's down timber. It's not really, you know, it'd be a landowner, you know, they're gonna have to do it themselves. There aren't a lot of options in the direct around Burley County for contractors that do what I do. In fact, there's really nobody that I know of that's gonna, especially run a piece of equipment into an area where you're gonna wreck stuff. So there aren't a lot of options, but like my guy that runs the Spurge program for me, he goes, they bought the land, they've gotten away leaving it forever. The timber should have been cleaned up. They should be able to go in there and take care of it. They buy these lots 15 years ago or whatever for 50 cents on the dollar, you know, on the investment. And then they haven't done anything with them. A lot of that, right, Leon? Isn't that, I mean, like up in Misty Waters and some of these development, and now all of a sudden somebody's saying, you gotta clean these up a little bit. And we're not, and they don't really have an option financially to have somebody do it. You know, I mean, I don't know who's gonna go do that kind of work. And like Christopher said, you bought them, you know, you gotta clean it up. I mean, that's part of owning property.
And that's one thing about the LAP program. When I do write these notice controls, if they are eligible for the LAP program, which is landlord assist program, I send a packet with it. So that they can, and that kind of helps alleviate the sting of the notice control, but all these housing developments that aren't, the LAP only goes for agricultural use. So, these housing developments that have these things in there, like Misty Waters, for example, when I send them notice control, I have no way of offsetting. I'm like, it's your responsibility to take care of it. And they're like, well, you know, a contractor. I said, well, there's lots of contractors. I give them names, but everybody's
Nobody's
kind
gonna do it.
everybody's kind of booked up with yours, and Brad won't go into these housing places because they're, you do have problems with it. I mean, one neighbor might not like people to spray. One, they might be organic, like they like organic, or they don't like this, or they don't like that.
And I've got all we can do, I have to take care of the county stuff that I'm committed
Yeah, you
to
got it.
first. I mean, that, I don't have time, we don't have time or the resources to
Yeah.
start messing with that.
So. Interesting.
Okay, let's move into that.
Okay, 13 lap applications as from last meeting. We talked about the one where we approved the bill. This is for Beatrice Streifel. She had a guy come in and spray for her. And where did it stay? She, she had a gentleman come in and spray for her, and we require that that they have the receipt from the gentleman, a map of where they're at, and then all the other, the in-kind worksheet and
Wow,
the cost share policy
nicely done.
has to be all in there. And cost share policy is just that we're holding it so that they can't hold us responsible. We're not actually spraying. We're not spraying, we're having somebody else do it, or contractor, so they can't come back on the county to do it. So after all said and done, they used Grazon Next Tordon and 2,4-D. Roy Erickson, he sprayed it. He did 4 hours, 40 acres. It took them 2 days. So with the in-kind total, how you figure the in-kind, there's a layout of how you figure out the in-kind. If you use a backpack sprayer, it's $8 a day, ATV, 112, 240, so on and so forth. And if you use a self-propelled, it's $240 daily use plus $30 an hour. So we figure that in kind, and it has to be 25% of the chemical cost in order for them to get full reimbursement for the chemical. We don't reimburse them for the work the person did. They have to pay for that, but we will reimburse them for the chemical if they have somebody else do it. So their total in kind was $600. So they got a total reimbursement for their chemical of $1,027.16.
Okay,
So we'll need to approve that one.
how many do we have that?
We have 13.
13 total.
Patrick and Gail Langefelder, they're gonna have Brad do it. These are all people that are gonna have, we're gonna do it. So Lois Holheimer, Lowell Mallard, Hero Barth.
These are fall ones we're gonna
These
do,
are gonna
right?
be fall applications
Okay.
after Labor Day. Yep. As of right now, like all your weeds are kind of dormant right now. They've
So
released.
we can't approve these yet until we know the in-kind.
No, these are, this in-kind is already figured out.
Okay.
Brad's doing it, it's a
That's what I was
50/50.
wondering.
It's a 50/50 cost share with a $110 cap. So if it comes to $75, we charge you 110 because that's, with
Understand.
labor and everything else like that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Johnny Eckroth, Ronald Ryberg, Patricia Andal, Beverly Schoenart. She has quite a few in there, quite a few land parcels. And this one are up separately. Betty Dietrich, Robert and Kimberly Nagel, and Dale Balky. Those are the ones for approval. A motion for.
Let's, do we need to talk about this?
Yeah, this one here, Randy Fricky, he filled this all out and everything, but he's just gonna take care of himself. He's gonna comply by cutting. He has a son that's really allergic to chemical, so he doesn't want anybody on the property
Okay,
to spray, so And I'm completely fine with that. I said I will come out and inspect later on, just to make sure that you got everything all cut down and you have no standing weeds, so. I mean, if that's the way they wanna do it, that's completely fine with me. Organically, chemically, cutting, whatever you gotta do, in order to take care of the weeds, so.
Okay,
So we had a good discussion.
as long as you can understand.
Yep, we gotta understand, yeah, yep, and he said he's gonna take care of it, so I believe him and
All right,
we'll,
any questions, on any of these? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second, Cole Anderson, second.
give a roll call.
Yep.
Greg,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Colt. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Leon, for that. Already dealt with the fleet officer compensation, treasurer, secretary. We'll talk about that a little bit from different perspective at the 9 o'clock item, open discussion for board members. Have you got anything additional to report as weed control officer, ma'am?
Contract that we officer report. Yeah, Brad, you wanna talk a little bit and then?
Yeah, it's gone real well. I, said that at multiple meetings. We've enjoyed working with Leon and the board and, we've had excellent spraying conditions as far as wind and so we've accomplished probably more than we have in my career. You know, it's been a long, long time since we've been able to get this amount of work done. We do have some fall spraying that we'll be doing. Christopher is on the river as of today, starting on the purple loosestrife. That gets to be labor intensive and expensive for what you accomplish, but is there reimbursement through the Corps or nothing there or what you were?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch base with the board. I know there was some talk about it, but it was just talk, so I don't know if that
Fish
was.
even or whatever.
Yeah,
But
I don't know
anyway,
if that was approved or not for purple loosestrife.
that's an expensive deal when you start getting the boat out. So anyway, that's gonna be ongoing and then really you still have those hot spots on our whiteboard for certain right of ways, so we still are out, you know, if he puts something on board, then that's giving us the okay to go out and take care of it now. The landowners are all going to the fall. And then after Labor Day, then we'll start finishing those landowners and going on, the right of ways again for, like we've always done in the fall, for whatever Leon, you know, Old 10, I mean, all those 83, 94, those will all gone, you know, be gone through, which that's all, doesn't cost the county anything to do the state roads.
No, not at all. Yeah, you get completely compensated for that.
So,
State, federal roads we get compensated for.
yeah, other than that, I think it's been, probably only have 2 or 3 people out in the fall. Won't be as many people out as we've had using them and some other things, so. I think that's about all, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions for Brad?
Yes. City's got 2 spots, but being that I couldn't talk to Leon, could you call them up and find out where they're at? They're on the other side of the city limits that they want sprayed. You know, I do get calls.
Yeah, so I'm not
There were
sure
a
they
couple
have stuff that's in
intersections
the
up
city.
North, I believe,
What's that?
a couple intersections up north,
Where they have weeds that,
on the north side, out on the county side. Is that what you were calling? You might wanna call the forestry department and get them. There's 2 spots.
that they want cleaned up or what?
Well, they'd like you to spray them.
Those, we were contacted on those 2 and thing is, it's not noxious weeds. It's,
Makes no difference. If they wanna get them done, if they're noxious, how much it's,
it was, you had the yellow clover.
they might be looking at line of sight, who knows?
Yeah, so we talked to, in that aspect, we have to talk to the highway department. The highway department has to go and mow that. We can't spray that because it's not a noxious weed.
I could do it
Does that get
separate.
mowed? Does
I
that
could
get
do it
mowed?
opposite
Does
the
that
board,
get-
but I probably wouldn't be that.
Does
there
that get
again.
mowed?
What's that?
Does that get mowed in the fall?
I'm not sure where the intersection you just said up north, what, do you know what the avenues and streets are? Bob?
all I can advise you guys is to call the guy down in Forest Street. Talk to him. You mentioned 2 spots up there.
Who's the guy on Fourth Street?
Fourth Street.
Forestry Department.
Oh, Forest.
Street, yeah. I would think that'd be something that they'd have to work
Well, they did,
separate with
they
the
did,
contractor, you know, whether it's us or,
no, they did their side of the road and I said, could you get the county up there to do that side?
oh, I see what they're,
So they must have a problem with the intersection or something.
yeah, but we wouldn't, we normally wouldn't.
Yeah, there was a couple phone calls about a blind intersection because of the growth of, clover and the kochia and stuff like that. There was no noxious weeds in there whatsoever. I did coordinate with, Wayne Klein and they went up and they did mow that, so. They mowed those, there was 2 or 3 intersections they mowed and I think they mow once a year. They try to get us, you know, they start on the major roads first and then they get out to the other smaller spots, so. We don't spray intersection just to keep it clean. I mean, that would push our budget way through the ceiling. It wouldn't be good if we're gonna go out and spray, because we've got calls for cattails and I can't do nothing with cattails either. Unless they budget it that way. If they put something in the budget that we take care of cattails, and if they put something in the budget, we take care of weeds that are not noxious weed. We have
Yeah, it should be separate. I mean, just like Max Shores wants to hire us to spray trees in the right of way.
Yeah.
That's you know,
yeah, that's what I got.
He's
phone
gonna
calls
pay
on
that.
too. I just, we can't, we don't have, our budget would be well over $1 million and just to take care of all this stuff, because there are trees in the right of way. There are things like this. There are other weeds, but
On your century code.
Yep.
Is just what's on the noxious
Right,
weed
right.
list
Yeah.
for the county or for the state.
Yeah.
But I think what's going on is the highway department didn't get the temporaries they needed. Plus they're,
Pam, I got the highway department now knocking down line of sight trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
so I think it's the highway that didn't get that mowed when they should have.
I think the deal evidently might have been too steep to get in there and mow. It didn't sound to me like it's a big area. And what's the hell's the difference if there's a noxious weed in it, it's an area the size of this room? Does that mean you absolutely can't spray? I mean, if it's a detriment to safety, you do it.
Well, they,
You know, they only had 2 little spots. I said, God, it would be nice to get them done, but we can't go do it.
What if it's not in our century code, then we can't
What?
do, if it's not in our century code, then we can't do it, is that correct?
well, then overspray would be an issue, it'd be the county's liability.
Well, it's on the county road. I'm sure that the county weed board can spray on county roads. You know, if it's a small spot. I'm not saying go out there and kill a few acres and acres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see your point, but it's a liability issue.
yeah, because that would be what we consider an off-target spray, because we're not spraying. We're not following the central code, we're spraying something other than a noxious weed, so it'd be an off-target spray, so it opens up the county for liability issues.
And it opens up the applicator license to be pulled.
in a big can of worms, because then everybody will want the same thing. Well, you sprayed that little patch for him. Why can't you spray this patch for me?
Yeah.
It would never end.
I think the best thing is to work with the highway department as much as possible.
Well,
You get that.
I'll talk to him, but I am gonna make the statement that if it's on county property and it's a nuisance, we can spray it.
Then we'd have
That's
to,
our job, but I mean, I don't want this to get to be a habit.
then we'd have to put another line
If
item,
it's a special situation, they come up.
then we'd have to put another line item in the budget for it, and
Yeah,
For next year.
we have to, yeah. If that's what, you know, and I have no qualms with it, but if we have to do that, we'd have to put another line item in the budget
but it
to
would be like
offset it.
county spraying expense.
I don't know
Something,
what we'd have to put it under, I mean,
County would have to totally reimburse us
We'll
for
get
it.
that line item,
because-
we'll get that line item in.
Yeah,
We'll
just
spray.
just put that line in
Yeah,
the
just-
budget for next year.
yeah, that we'd have to have some completely different one, I mean.
well, and they can't
that
add it,
handled.
guys,
Not,
not
no,
for
not
twenty
for
twenty-four.
twenty-four. It
For
has to
twenty
be for the
twenty-five,
next
it would be a
budget,
line item.
25.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you got anything else, Leon? No, let me.
And then we're gonna have to write something up too that indemnifies us from being targeted, you know, by somebody by off-target spraying and not just spraying you know, we have to say, we have to bring up another whole,
You'd have to have a policy.
we'd have to have another policy like I have for the landlord assistant, I have to bring up something like that.
County only,
Yeah.
no private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a policy that would be
Yeah.
written.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
I haven't got nothing for as far as my report, I mean, I've got nothing, I pretty much do my report while I'm doing.
Yeah,
Minutes,
yeah, I
but
think
yeah,
we-
so as far as, Brad's going very, very well, I mean, he's had a banner year for spring, because it's just been so beautiful out, so.
Coverage has been
We,
phenomenal.
yeah, gotten a lot of compliments.
Yeah.
So. Yep, so we're well on our way.
All right, let's talk about 2024 lap and chemical cost share. What are your recommendations?
So for the lap, I kind of touched base with Richard Weiss a little bit about it. And it's up for interpretation what we use that lap money for. We're already using lap money for reimbursement with chemical for the 50/50 cost share. We're doing for agriculture for the 50/50. And as long as it's agricultural land and not people that own residential or commercial lots. So that being said with that, I mean, it's something that we can kind of think about in the future going down. I mean, the budget's already been set with something to help offset their cost. Because they can't buy the chemical from us because all the chemical that we have is owned for right away and range and pasture.
Sure.
So what we could do is 50/50 our chemical and buy something that's called Speed Zone, which is terpene ornamental, which they can use on commercial and residential, so that we can kind of help them offset the cost of that a little bit. They could buy the chemical from us. And then we also have our milestone and whatever else, if we want to use milestone, 3-Lex, whatever we want to approve for the lab program for selling outright too. So
What's the base or the chemical composition of Speed Zone?
Speed Zone's kind of like, it's just a kind of like a Trimec.
Oh, so it's 2,4-D
It's
product.
a dicam, a 240,
Mhm.
and then MCPPA. So it's
What does it cost us?
it'll cost us about $36 a quart right now.
What
Yeah,
is the
it's
coverage
expensive
for?
product.
It's an expensive
You use
product.
it all.
Yeah, we've used Speed Zone.
Yeah.
Speed Zone's also another option.
Yeah,
It's a
that's what we're
little,
using now is T-zone.
it's a little
Yeah.
slower for kill, but it has the same, really similar chemical composition.
Right.
Yeah, that's Bill brought that up too. He said it's either Speed Zone or T Zone, and then, well, Trimec, which has been overused, and I'm sure that a lot of people have used it in their lawns already. So, I mean,
That's gonna be T-zone and Speed Zone are gonna be way more volatile. So people that use it, that there's more risks involved with that. We use it just for spot treating. We don't blanket spray anything. It's
Yeah.
too expensive to use in the lawn care industry to blanket spray. So we use it when we're,
for spot spraying.
after we've got the weeds fairly under control with the Trimec during the year, then on the later summer ones, when you start having spurge and carpet weed and things like that, then we'll use it as a spot treating, mostly with a backpack.
Yeah.
And so keep that in mind, there's some handler, you gotta know what you're doing when you start loading that up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same with that trichlorophyll, I can't even say it.
From a cost share standpoint, that's maybe something we don't want to be dealing with.
Right, it's super, yeah, I'm just throwing, I'm giving him info, I'm
Yeah.
not part of the.
Perfect.
But, and I would make sure, like, when those things that people know the PPE requirements, because you see a lot of people out doing their own stuff, dressed like I am,
Yeah,
with shorts on and no gloves, nothing.
sandals.
And that is bad for our whole industry,
Yes.
that's just, you see that a lot.
That's one thing when I do sell chemical, I make sure that I tell them, read the label.
Yeah.
Make sure that you read the label. You're responsible as an applicator to read the
Yeah.
label, so.
Nobody, and that's the thing, if you put, like I use T-zone up at my little lake place and, you put in, it's an ounce per gallon and you go over an ounce, she smokes the grass, it'll whack the grass, you gotta know what you're doing with that stuff.
Another option would be like just a 3-way, like a general 3-way.
Yeah.
It's a little, but it's still volatile.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a liability issue with that?
No, I think it would be, especially with something that is, yeah, with that, I mean, it's just something to help offset the cost, but I mean, everybody, when they buy their land, they know that they gotta take care of it, and just,
But is there liability back in the county if we cost share
That's
it with
my
them?
concern.
that's, I
Yes.
Yeah,
I just thought I'd bring it up for discussion, if someone asked me if I'd bring it up for discussion, a landowner asked me if I'd bring it up for discussion at the meeting, whether or not we could do something to help offset the cost, so.
I think that's part of being an owner, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know if we, as a county, or we board, we wanna go there and expose ourselves to that liability.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on lap?
Just, chemical cost share for next year, we kind of just, I want to just get a general consensus of what you guys think, if we want to go the same way that we've been going. The one thing I don't like the fact that we're using the same chemical over and over and over and over again every year. Because we're gonna start building a tolerance. Are they, at least this chemical that we do sell are, I give them the recommendations, I make sure I know what kind of equipment they're using, if they're using a backpack spray, if they're using a four-wheel spray, if they're using a tractor or, whatever, I make sure that I find out exactly what they're using, and then I give them the proper mixing rate. But, I'm leery of the fact that if they're mixing too light or they're mixing too heavy, these plants can start becoming resistant. So now if we got resistance plants and we're using the same kind of chemical on these plants, then we're just gonna run into trouble. So I think would be something that I could figure out a different chemical. We could table this, what we want to use for chemical caution next year. But if we get a different chemical, start using a different chemical than just milestone year after year or plateau year after year, or so.
What I'd like to see is if you and Brad could get your heads together and come up with recommendations.
Yeah.
So that we can deal with that in our September meeting.
Yeah.
Is that appropriate? Perfect. Good deal.
Have to have a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Yeah. That'd be great. Put it on the agenda again.
Okay. Do we need a motion to table?
Do you need a motion?
Yes, we do.
I will move that.
Second?
Second, wait a minute, what are you guys doing?
Oh, we're just, tabling the chemical
Cause
cost.
I wanna mention, this camera does not get shut off till everybody leaves the room. And then you
We-
shut it off. Stays on as long as there's two people in this room or 10.
Roger that.
We agree.
Yeah.
All right.
All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Carries. Discussion.
Okay. And we're right on time. But one of the things that I want to talk about, and I've kind of been rethinking this while we've been sitting here, is rather than doing a committee for compensation, is if we would have one person that would work with you. Are you okay with that? Probably gonna simplify things.
We can provide the information, and work with them on the analysis.
That'd be
And
perfect.
then if they wanna independently gather information too, they'll share it with us, we can put something together.
Okay. All right. My preference would be to have Jim do that if he would be willing. May be difficult. Are you okay with that?
I can do that.
That would be our best foot forward on this. Okay, thanks.
We can have a vote on that, or?
Yeah, so the motion would be that we ask Jim Heisler to work with Pam's office on trying to find a solution for the compensation for the weed control officer. And motion. Thanks. Second. Thank you. Roll call vote here.
Roll call vote. Greg?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All.
Yes. All right,
Carries.
One second.
Jim.
Pam, at what time frame are you looking at that you'd be willing to get together, like next week, 2 weeks from now, or what's your schedule like, where we got?
Next week's not looking good. The week after, looking better. I think I still have your email address. I can give you
Yeah,
a time.
if you could contact me somehow where you got an open time frame in there, and then I can see where I'm at, and we should have a day that we can work out. Yeah, if you do that, that would work. Thank you.
And it's still your Gmail, right? I've got a Gmail.
Yeah, you should have it.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, you sent me notices
Yep.
before, so.
Okay.
Like to thank Pam for the information she brought us.
Yeah. Amazing, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have one question I'd like to bring up, and this, I hope, I'm not trying to open something up here, but I'm trying to find, I'm gonna ask you, Commissioner Schwab, what can we do to make this better so we have a better communication with you and eliminate this friction, what's going on?
What we're gonna do here doesn't make any difference if you think anymore. This guy goes over to the highway department. It's gonna be the seas of the highway department. The building's gonna go through the highway. We're gonna streamline this place. That's what we're gonna do. And we're not gonna violate open meeting laws. If you can't accept that, well, that's coming. I will get it done. I'm not gonna throw my arms up in the air and say, well, it's only $400,000 deal. You guys are gonna be independent. And you're gonna run independent. He is gonna be under the highway county engineer. We are gonna share services. And that's the way it's gonna be. It isn't, what can we do? That's what we're gonna do. If anybody doesn't like it, well, tough. And I kind of think the commission's gonna go along with me on this one. Leon is a county employee. You guys are independent. We'll leave you independent. There are gonna be guidelines on these meetings and stuff. So that's all I'm gonna say on it right now. I'll get together with Julie, Pam, and a few other people and we'll figure it out. But I will guarantee you, the billing and stuff is gonna go through that highway department. As a matter of fact, I think they were taking inventory yesterday. It started. I've never seen an inventory on what kind of product we got here. Everything's top secret. That stops. And it's not hard to do. It's not, I'm not asking you guys to do anything that I didn't ask the highway department to do. We have the same deal over there, and if you guys want to set up the roadblocks, set them up. But I know how to drive the machinery. And we're gonna get it done. So
And we have
that's all
nothing,
I got to say, yes.
we have nothing to hide.
The inventory is always available at the auditor's office. We're going through updates right
It
now.
should be available up here.
Yeah, if you requested it, I would have.
I have never seen an inventory. I've never seen a budget, Leon.
But you,
Come on. Everything's top secret up here and you know it. You're running it all.
you get a,
And I told you way back, you just can't handle it all. Then we have open meeting violations, we have this, we have that. We're gonna straighten it out. I've got all kinds of staff over here I can use, do billing and stuff, so you can go out and kill weeds. And that's your main job,
you,
and educate public. I hear you on the radio, you do a good job. But right there again, now that's another thing that takes your time. And you're not out doing your job, because then you gotta go and do the secretary's job. So we're gonna work that, and I did bring up at the last meeting, staff.
Yeah.
How are we coming on this? Have we advertised?
no, we haven't advertised yet. No,
Nothing got done.
we were just,
Okay, that's all.
Hey, anything else from any other board members? Hearing none, we'll adjourn. Thanks, everyone.
Forget that stays on until everybody goes.
yes, sir.
Yeah, we heard the message. Thanks, Brad. Yeah. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Larry, do you need a ride or anything today?
Actually, I got my own vehicle.
Okay.
I'm glad Joe certified the way. We moved.
Commissioner Munson.
I knew you were Brad, but I didn't know the last name.
Thank you.
Later, bud.
Oh, see you around.
Sound good. Keep up the.
What's going on with farm operation?
Well, so far, I'm not involved in it.
How was your vacation?
It was good.
Did you start it?
Yeah, I did.
Did you have fun?
I did. It was,
Go concerts? Did
oh, I just gotta hang out.
you guys, where you guys go?
Just. Oh, yeah. So, you know where Newell's at, just north? Yeah, we go up there, just, there's a little campground up there with a, and we just kind of stay up there. We don't get too far out of it. I just, I'm not a crowd person, so.
You don't ride, do you? You?
Oh, yeah, I
Ride
ride. Yeah, I got.
During that? Oh, that sucks to ride during that.
So that's why I didn't go to town, because there's too many
Well,
accidents and too
deep
many.
down.
Yeah, there's too many accidents, too many people that just don't know what they're doing in town, that's why I don't go to town, but,
Not my first bike, going to Sturgis.
yeah, right, yeah.
We stay at Creekside. We're kind of the mellow people.
Yeah, I kinda, yeah, we stay at that little one, that's just a little, if you go through, you'll see that little, looks like a little drain
Mhm.
bin that been converted, we stay up there in that little.
Oh, okay, there. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my husband's getting older, so he bought a trike. He's short. We are the same height.
yeah,
And it's just harder for him. And I'm not as skinny as I used to be, so.
Yeah.
We have the old man trike now. So he's still on his bike.
okay, thank you for coming. Yep. Okay, thank you.